Go on, grab the nearest thing you can. A water bottle, a cereal box, the takeout container from last night. Flip it over. See that little triangle of 3 arrows chasing each other? You've seen it thousands of times. It feels official, like it was handed down from the Department of Good Intentions. But it wasn't. That symbol, the most famous environmental icon on Earth, was drawn by a 23-year-old student for a contest in 1970. And each of those arrows has a very specific job most of us get wrong. This is the real story. It's on the bottom of a plastic jug, the side of a cardboard box, the wrapper on a candy bar. Those 3 arrows are part of the visual wallpaper of our lives. They look simple, almost obvious. But that little triangle isn't just a sticker that means green. It's a map. It's a tiny, elegant instruction manual for a giant global process, a story about how our trash gets a second life. But what is that story? What are those arrows actually telling us to do? Most of us never really ask. We just see the symbol, feel a little flicker of virtue, and toss the item in the blue bin. We're done here. But what if I told you that symbol is the result of a one-off student design contest, a 19th century mathematical party trick, and a corporate decision that accidentally changed the world? The story is way better than you think. Let's rewind to 1970. The vibe is tie-dye, bell-bottoms, and a brand new wave of environmentalism. The very first Earth Day has just rocked the nation, putting pollution and conservation on the front page. A big Chicago-based company called the Container Corporation of America, which made a ton of packaging out of recycled paper, saw the moment. They decided to sponsor a national contest for a symbol to put on their recycled products. They sent posters to art and design schools across the country, looking for a logo that screamed recycled. Reports say they were flooded with over 500 entries. One of those entries came from Gary Anderson, a 23-year-old architecture student at the University of Southern California. He sketched out a few ideas, landed on a simple, looping triangle of arrows, and sent it in. And he won. First prize. He got a check for $2,500. That was serious money for a student back then, a little over $19,000 in today's cash. Not bad for a design he reportedly whipped up in just a day or two, a design that would go on to become one of the most recognized symbols on the planet. So where did this world-changing idea come from? Anderson later said he was inspired by 2 things. First, he'd seen diagrams in class showing how paper was collected, pulped down, and then remade into new paper sheets, a cyclical process. But the artistic spark came from something nerdier, a mathematical curiosity called a Möbius-strip. You take a strip of paper, give it a half twist, and tape the ends together. You're left with a weird, continuous loop that only has one side and one edge. It's a visual representation of infinity. That's the secret sauce in his design. Look closely at the arrows. At each corner, there's a little fold, a twist. The band of the arrow appears to flip over on itself, just like that Möbius strip. This wasn't just for decoration. It gives the flat, 2D symbol a sense of dimension and, more importantly, endless motion. It's not a static badge. It's a process, a cycle that never stops. That little geometric trick is what makes the symbol feel so active and alive. Now here's the single most important move in the whole story. After awarding the prize, the Container Corporation of America did something incredible. They placed the symbol in the public domain. They didn't trademark it. They didn't license it. They just gave it away, for free, to the entire world. This wasn't just generosity. It was smart. They wanted everyone to use it, to create a universal language for recycling that would, naturally, help them sell more of their recycled paperboard. That one decision ensured it would spread like wildfire. And it did. CCA started printing it on their boxes, along with simple guidelines for how it should look. Soon, other companies picked it up. Scrappy, new city recycling programs in the 70s and 80s needed a symbol for their bins and trucks. And what's better than one that's free, simple, and increasingly recognizable? It became the open source icon of the environmental movement before open source was even a thing. No lawyers, no fees, no permission needed. It just spread. Okay, so now for the part that most people miss. What do the three arrows actually mean? They aren't just vibes. Each one represents a crucial step. Arrow number 1 is collection. This is your part of the deal. It's you sorting your paper, plastic, and glass. It's you rolling the blue bin to the curb. It's the truck that comes to pick it up. This is the first essential step, recovering the used material from consumers so it doesn't end up in a landfill. Arrow number 2 is manufacturing. This is the noisy, messy, industrial part of the journey. This is the materials recovery facility, the factory where all that stuff you collected gets sorted, cleaned, shredded, melted, and pulped. It's a giant, complex process that turns a mountain of mixed-up consumer trash back into a clean, raw material, a feedstock that a company can actually use to make something new. And arrow number 3. This is the one everybody forgets, and it's the most important one of all. This arrow represents you, the consumer, buying products made with recycled content. See, if nobody buys the notebook made from old paper or the fleece jacket made from old bottles, then there's no market for the material from step 2. The whole system grinds to a halt. The loop breaks. That third arrow isn't just a nice idea. It's the economic engine that makes the whole cycle work. It's a shopping choice. You've probably heard the phrase, reduce, reuse, recycle. It's a great slogan, but it has nothing to do with this symbol. That came later, and from a different source. Gary Anderson's 3 arrows were always about a specific manufacturing and market loop. Collect it, remake it, and buy it back. That third arrow is about creating demand. Without it, the first 2 arrows are just a very expensive way to sort garbage. Because it was so popular, Anderson's loop got written into official rulebooks. The International Organization for Standardization, or ISO, adopted the Möbius loop as the basis for all sorts of environmental claims. Now, there are subtle differences. An empty outline of the arrows often means the item is capable of being recycled. A solid, filled-in symbol, especially with a percentage next to it, usually means the item is made with recycled content. The details change by country, but that student's design became the global blueprint. The symbol became so fundamental, it's even baked into the code that runs our computers. In the massive character library called Unicode, right alongside letters, numbers, and emojis, there is a specific official code point for the universal recycling symbol. Your phone knows exactly what it is. That's how deeply embedded it's become in our shared visual language. For nearly 2 decades, the symbol had a clear job. But then, in 1988, the plastics industry came along and, well, they made things complicated. They created something called the Resin Identification Code, or RIC. To help their own facilities sort different types of plastic, they put a number from 1 to 7 inside Anderson's chasing arrows. This was a code for factory workers, not for you. And you can guess exactly what happened next. We, the public, saw our favorite friendly arrows and assumed the number inside was just some extra detail. We thought, great, it has the symbol, so it's recyclable. But a number 1 for PET plastic or a 5 for polypropylene never guaranteed that your local town could actually process it. It was a label for sorting, but we read it as a promise. This one decision kicked off decades of mass confusion that we're still trying to untangle. The confusion got so bad that in 2013, a major standards organization, ASTM International, officially tried to fix it. They ruled that the plastics code should no longer use the chasing arrows. Instead, it should be a number inside a plain, solid, equilateral triangle. The goal was to finally separate the symbol for what this plastic is made of from the symbol for this is part of a recycling loop. It was a good idea, but the chasing arrows had a nearly 25-year head start. Plastic molds are incredibly expensive to make and replace. Thousands of them already existed with the old arrow design. So, even today, you still find a mix of both out in the wild. The key thing to remember is this. A number in a triangle, arrows or not, just identifies the plastic. Only your local program can tell you if they actually accept it. So, how can you be a recycling black belt today? Ignore the myths and look for the words. The symbol is a starting point, but the text next to it tells the real story. Look for clear phrases like made with 30% post-consumer recycled content or recyclable in some communities, check locally. Those qualifiers are your best guide. The loop is the headline, but the fine print is what really counts. And when in doubt, just check. Your town or city's waste management website is your best friend. They'll tell you exactly what they want in the bin, by shape and material, not just by a number in a triangle. A quick 5-minute search can prevent wish cycling and save a whole batch of good materials from being contaminated and sent to the landfill. And here it is, the fact you can use to win your next dinner party. The world's most famous eco-icon? It was a 1970 student contest entry that won a kid $2.5 grand. The company gave it away for free, which is why it's everywhere. And the 3 arrows were never reduce, reuse, recycle. They mean collect, manufacture, and, the one everyone forgets, buy recycled. You buying stuff in the store is the only thing that actually closes the loop. If you love finding out the hidden origins of everyday things, you are in the right place. We do one ordinary object, one surprising true backstory, every single week. So subscribe and hit that like button if you'll never look at a plastic bottle the same way again. We've got more stories waiting for you, from the invention of the high five to why keyboards aren't in alphabetical order. See you next time.